For you, Formz, if we're bringing Richarlison, would you be happy with that?
Bring him in right now. I am a massive fan of Richarlison only because I know what a shithouse he can be. It's like the one player you got to compare him to is Eric Lamela, in the sense that when he plays for your club, you love him. When he plays for if he plays for anybody else, you absolutely despise him. And I love that. I think, again, comparing him to Lamela, whenever we played teams and Lamela was on the pitch, he was just so annoying to the opposition, and he just niggled away at them. And I think Richarlison does that so well as well. Plus, he's proven that he's Prem proven. He bangs goals in. He's a great option at striker. He can play out on the wing. And I've spoken to a couple of my friends and Spurs fans and people on Richarlison, and they're like, "Oh, well, can he really bang goals in?" I think he scored 10 goals last season in the Premier League in a very, very, very struggling Everton side. It's like, if you can do that, what can you do with the right delivery? What can you do with the right assistance? I think bring Richarlison in. I don't throw your wallet at him, Daniel Levy. I want him.
and that's the thing. I think for him, he is split an opinion, but I think that's because we're obviously linked with Raphinha, and it has been said that it's going to be Richarlison or Raphinha. So that being said, Mitch, are you kind of in the same boat as Formz, or are you hanging more slightly on the Raphinha or hoping for something else?
I think that Richarlison suits our needs a lot better at the moment. I think they're going to cost a similar amount of money. I think, if not, Raphinha might be a little bit more expensive. But I don't particularly think Raphinha would be that person that could perhaps fill in across the entire line. I also feel like Richarlison's more of a Conte type player. So I just feel like the value is a bit better there. Would I love to have Raphinha at the club? Absolutely, but I don't think we're going to be shipping out plus side of 100 million for both of them. Definitely not. So it's difficult, and I'd be happy if we signed either. If we dropped our interest in Richarlison and decided to go with Raphinha, I wouldn't have too many complaints because he's a fantastic player. But Richarlison is someone who is going to come in, hopefully, and score goals. He's going to, get the team motivated. He's going to get everyone up. He's going to get the fans on side of him pretty quickly. And I don't have any reservations about him or doubts about him as a player, because he's played in the Premier League for a few seasons now, and he's proven himself, especially last season with Everton, as poor as they were. So, if you're looking at somewhere between 50, 60 million pounds for him, I'd say that he's probably worth just paying it and moving on.
Sorry, Hollie, I got something to say on something Mitch said about Richarlison being more of a Conte player or fitting Conte's system than Raphinha. I don't know, this is probably just personal. I just feel like when you've got someone like Raphinha, who has obviously been the star man, Calvin Phillips at Leeds, and he's been the first name on the team sheet every single week in, week out, you just think that he seems to me like the type of player that if he wasn't picked consistently at Spurs, he'd kind of throw his toys out the pram. And then Conte obviously doesn't like that. And then you're kind of like looking at it and you're going, okay, well, have we just wasted 65 million on a player who's a bit of a whiny baby? Whereas Richarlison has shown both for Watford and for Everton that regardless of what shirt he wears, Richarlison fan club, whatever shirt he wears, he gives his all for the club, regardless of whether he's starting or he's not. So I feel like in that sense, yeah, I agree. He's Richarlison's more of a Conte system player. Also, we saw I lost my train of thought. Don't worry.
If it comes back to me, let me know. But no, it's true. And he's also come out and said that he wants to play Champions League football and he wants to play for Spurs. So if you've got a player that's pretty much banging on your door, you've got to go get him, surely. And obviously, I know we have a Everton fan in the chat. If you're still here, Luna, we're going to move on to your man, Anthony Gordon, because it has come out today that we're apparently after him as well, Mitch. So what's your kind of thoughts on that kind of deal? Because it's one of those that's come out of the blue again.
I think that, it's been known since the start of the transfer window that we want to sign more English talent, young English talent, which I haven't got a problem with. And I do think that Gordon would be a good player to bring in. I don't personally think it's a realistic deal that's going to happen, but I've watched him for Everton a fair amount, and I think he's an exciting player. His numbers don't particularly give him too much of a sort of reputation that a lot of fans will look at him and think, yeah, he's someone that I want in, and think that he could push onto the first team and into the starting 11. However, I think he's viewed as one very much for the future. So, you know, if we were able to go in and get him for a reasonable price, then I'd be absolutely all for it. But I don't think that's going to be possible with how much Everton fans love him. You know, he's a Scouse boy, he's an Everton boy, and I think there would be a bit of uproar within the fan base at Everton if he were to leave. So yeah, that's just my thoughts.
No, it's interesting because obviously you talk about his stats. I think he scored 4 goals and 3 assists for them last season, or the season just gone. He is only 21. I think that's the thing we need to remember. I know that's not obviously young anymore, but coming into a side that we spoke about, obviously Richarlison, they were struggling. So it is interesting. I mean, Formz, are you kind of on the same kind of stance? Are you thinking, yeah, it's definitely one for the future? I think the rumour came out that we want to offer 25 million. I don't think that's going to be a reasonable price that Everton are going to take, really.
It's one of them. I'm in two minds because on one hand, I'm like, it seems like there's all these rumours about obviously a swap deal with Everton for whatever player, with Winks involved and then maybe Lucas involved. I think that if we're bringing someone like Gordon in and said, obviously Bergwijn's out the door, so he kind of goes without saying, but if we're bringing someone like Gordon in and also getting rid of someone like Lucas as well, for me, that's just a silly decision, because Lucas, as much as yes, last season wasn't his best season, still his energy is top notch. He gives his absolute all for the club. He's proven in this squad, in this system, all of that. So I think if we're looking at him for like a replacement to any of the wingers we've currently got, I wouldn't bring him in. But having said that, on the other hand, it's like Conte's kind of known as that manager who wants to bring in older, more experienced players. And Spurs are obviously notorious for wanting to bring in young, relatively unproven, but loads of potential players and stuff like that. So it's like when Conte was like, yeah, this is who I want, bring in an old man like Perisic, bring in this one, that one, this one, that one. We didn't really look at too many young players other than obviously Jed Spence. I think it'd be worth bringing someone like Gordon in as like a young, homegrown, can we develop them kind of player. But then again, you think about, have we got anyone in the academy that's also coming up and could take that job in a couple of years' time? It's one of them. I'm in two minds about Gordon. Am I going to cry if he doesn't come into Tottenham? No. Am I going to be upset if he does come to Tottenham? No. It's one of them where I'm kind of just like, there's pros, there's cons. Just do it or don't do it. I don't really care.